Hello Year 6 and welcome to Thursday's literacy lesson. So today is when we're going to finish the rest of the question on frozen escapes. So we're still in that first text, frozen escapes, but this time we are looking at pages 10 and 11 and you've got word meaning questions. So they're about the meaning of words or phrases and using the sentence to work that out if you don't already know. And then you've also got summary questions, which we'll go over in a minute, and language questions, okay? So it's pages 10 and 11, but it's still about frozen escapes. Okay, so it's the last questions on that text. So I'll just quickly whiz through and give some tips that you might need to help you. So the first one then gives you a little quote, but you might want to find the rest of that sentence to help you figure out what the word means. And it asks you what the word flitting means. So think about the rest of the sentence to help you work that out. Okay, so again, you've got the word reliable this time. So it's talking about ice hotels being strong and reliable. Okay, so think about what you know the meaning of the word reliable and how it's being used in that sentence. Okay, then you've got unique, the next one. So a little quote here. You might want to find the rest of the sentence to work out what unique means in that sentence. Okay, so you'll have an idea of what that means, but make sure you thought about how it's been used in the sentence. And the last one, it gives you some options to tick. Okay, so you've got to tick one. Okay, so you've got building an entire hotel from ice might seem like an odd concept. What does the word concept mean? It gives you 4 options to choose from. Okay, so they are your word meaning questions. Okay, so then you've got summary. Now, a summary means looking at a particular section of the text and giving an idea what that section is about in short. So if I said, oh, what's that paragraph about, you'd just give me a one-line answer to tell me what that was about. Okay, so you've got a little bit of the text to read. So read from, in fact, the world's ice hotel, to tread the line between speed and safety. Then tick the option which you think is a suitable summary. So if you were to give that paragraph a title, which one of these would you pick? Okay. And the second question, you've got to do that. So it's giving you a section to read, and then you've got to write a sentence. So if I said, what is that section about? What would you tell me in one sentence? Okay, so that's quite tricky because you are summarising, putting into one sentence what a whole paragraph is about. Okay, so that is quite tricky, but have a go. Then the last one then. So for language questions, you've got to think about why the writer has chosen certain words and what impressions, and we've talked about impressions before, they create. So try this question out to test your skills. So the reporter describes the carvings and sculptures at the Ice Hotel as magical. So what impression does this give you of the carvings and sculptures? So think about the word magical, okay? What impression in your mind, and it's 2 marks that question is. So you need to give 2 things that it gives you in your mind. Okay, so you might want to go back to the text and look at that section, but focus on the word magical, okay? And think about what impression it gives you in your mind about what the sculptures are like, okay? And what feeling it gives you. Another quite tricky question, okay? So that's our last bit on frozen escapes, 10 and 11, okay? Then today's word power then is pages 14 and 15, and it's still about talking and the way that we speak. So it's about changing, and we have talked a little bit about this, about changing how you speak depending on who you are speaking to, okay? So it's about formal and informal language. Now the first bit gives you a passage from a story called The Secret Garden. So the girl in the story, called Mary, speaks in standard English, but when she's speaking to this boy Dickon, she changes how she speaks to suit his Yorkshire dialect. So we've talked about what dialects are. So he's from Yorkshire and he uses a dialect. So he uses different words and phrases that they use in Yorkshire. So what she's done is, because she's talking to Dickon, she's using some of those words and phrases. Okay. So standard English, what Mary, standard English that Mary is speaking in is a form of English where you use no dialect. So you use the exact English language, okay? And whereas we know what dialects are because we've been learning about them. And so it doesn't have any of those dialect words in. So have a look at this little section. So the first thing, you've got to write an example of where she's speaking in the Yorkshire dialect. So it's not standard English, it's a Yorkshire word that she's using. And it gives you some definitions of the words here. They're in blue. Then why do you think that Mary changed the way she spoke? So think about who she's speaking to and where he's from and what he uses, and think about why she might have done that. Look at how Dickon reacts to her efforts to speak in a Yorkshire dialect. Do you think she's been successful? So I'd look at this first little paragraph here and see how he reacts. It's a little bit of show, not tell. And then do you think that she's been successful based on his reaction? Then it gives you some situations, so informal and formal. Then there's a list here, and you've got to put them under informal or formal. So having lunch at school, would that be a time where you spoke in your best standard English, or is that a more informal time where you're having a chat? And then you've got a few more here: a wedding, shopping, a funeral, a friend's birthday, or grandma's birthday party. Would you be formal or informal? Okay, so here's some phrases then here in this bit that you might hear in an informal situation, and you've got to change them to a more formal one. So this one, coming through, move out of the way, might be something like, excuse me, please, could I get past? Okay, so you've got a few there. And then the last bit then, the yellow box, you've got to put an example where you've changed the way you spoke because of where you are. Okay, so a time where you think, oh, I've got to speak in a more formal way compared to an informal way. Okay. So enjoy your work today, and I shall see you tomorrow.